Love is such a feeling which gives a person a reason to live, but sometimes this love also becomes the reason for death. This is the story of Travis Alexander and Jodi Arias, a love which was bound to end, but with a bloody end. But why did this happen? And why, after all, a couple who loved each other so much and were ready to die for each other, why did they become thirsty for each other's blood? There are many questions like this too, whose answer has not been found till today. Come on, without wasting time, let's start the video and discuss the case of Jodi Arias and Travis Alexander case. This case starts in 2008, in which a housewife kills her loving husband so much, slits his throat, attacks him 23 times with a sharp knife. After all, why would she have done this? She must be finding out the reason for doing this. Travis was born on July 28, 1977 in Riverside, California, to Gary David Alexander and Pamela Elizabeth Morgan Alexander. Travis was born into a family where he had to face more problems than love, as if the problems were just waiting for him to be born, because by the time Travis was 8 years old, his parents had become addicted to drugs. And meanwhile, Travis went to live with his maternal grandparents at the age of 8. After the death of his father in July 1997, Travis and his siblings were taken in by their maternal grandmother. Alexander told a friend that, before joining the church, he was often involved in fights. He performed stand-up comedy under the name Eddie Snell. Alexander was a salesman and motivational speaker for prepaid legal services, PPL. But one day a girl came into his life, a girl who was ready to do anything for him. Her name was Jodi Arias. Arias was born on July 9, 1980, in Salinas, California, to William and Sandra, née Allen Arias. She attended school until the 11th grade, after which she dropped out of Eureka Union High School. She was an aspiring photographer and worked odd jobs until she found a sales position with PPL. Arias and Alexander met at a work conference in Las Vegas, Nevada in September 2006. Arias converted to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, of which Alexander was a member, and was baptized by him in a ceremony in Southern California on November 26, 2006. Alexander and Arias began dating in February 2007, and Arias moved to Mesa to be closer to Alexander. But in April 2008, she moved to Eureka, California, and began living with her grandparents there. Alexander and Arias dated on and off for a year and a half, often in a long-distance relationship, alternating travel between their respective Arizona and California homes. Alexander's friends who knew Arias and saw them together mostly had negative opinions about her, saying that the relationship was unusually turbulent and that Arias's behavior was strange. Why did Travis's friends eventually think that Travis's friends knew something about Jodi Arias that Travis did not? Arias was hiding the secret of what happened last time. We are still silent on all these questions. Alexander was murdered on June 4, 2008, at his home in Mesa, Arizona, while he was taking a shower. He had been stabbed 27 times, his throat was slit, and he had been shot in the head. Medical examiner Kevin Horn later testified that Alexander's jugular vein, common carotid artery, and trachea were cut, and that there were defensive wounds to his hands. Horn further testified that Alexander could have been dead at the time of being shot, and that the wounds to his back were minor. Alexander's death was ruled a homicide. He was buried at Olivewood Memorial Park Cemetery in Riverside. On the evening of June 4th, Alexander missed an important conference call. The next day, Arias met Ryan Burns in the Salt Lake City suburb of West Jordan and attended business meetings for the conference. Burns later said he noticed that Arias's formerly blonde hair had now turned dark brown, and that she had cut marks on her hands. On June 6, she drove west from Salt Lake City to California. She called Alexander several times and left several voicemail messages for him. She also accessed his cell phone voicemail system. When Arias returned the car on June 7th, it had been driven about 2,800 miles, 4,500 kilometers. The rental clerk testified that the car was missing floor mats and had red stains on its front and rear seats. On June 9th, having been unable to contact Alexander, a concerned group of friends went to his home. His roommates had not seen him in several days, but they believed he had gone out of town and thus did not suspect anything was wrong. After finding the keys to Alexander's bedroom, The group entered and found large pools of blood in the hallway of the master bathroom and Alexander's body in the shower. In a 911 call, not heard by the jury, the dispatcher asked whether Alexander was about to commit suicide or whether someone was angry enough to hurt him. Alexander's friends named Arias as a possible suspect and said that Alexander had told them that she had been stalking him, accessing his Facebook account, and slashing his car tires. During a search of Alexander's home, police found her recently purchased digital camera damaged in the washing machine. Police were able to recover deleted photographs showing Arias and Alexander in sexually suggestive poses, taken at approximately 1:40 p.m. on June 4th. The last photograph of Alexander, showing her in the shower, was taken at 5:29 p.m. that day. Photos taken moments later show a man believed to be Alexander bleeding heavily on the bathroom floor. A bloody palm print was found along the wall in the bathroom hallway. It contained DNA from both Arias and Alexander. On July 9, 2008, a grand jury in Maricopa County, Arizona, indicted Arias for the first-degree murder of Alexander. She was arrested at her home 6 days later and extradited to Arizona on September 5th. Arias pleaded not guilty on September 11th. During this time, she made several different statements about her involvement in Alexander's death. She first told police she was not in Mesa on the day of the murder and that she had last seen Alexander in March 2008. Arias later told police that two intruders had broken into Alexander's home, assaulted and beaten him. 2 years after her arrest, Arias told police she killed Alexander in self-defense, saying she had been the victim of domestic violence. On April 6, 2009, a motion to reconsider the defendant's motion to disqualify the Maricopa County District Attorney's Office was denied. On May 18th, the court ordered Arias to submit to IQ and competency testing. In January 2011, a defense brief detailed efforts by Arias' attorneys to obtain text messages and emails. Prosecutors initially told defense attorneys that no text messages sent or received by Alexander were available, but then prosecutors were ordered to turn over several hundred such messages. Mesa Police Detective Esteban Flores told defense attorneys that there was nothing unusual in Alexander's emails. Approximately 8,000 emails were turned over to the defense in June 2009. On January 21, 2023, Lifetime released another Jodi Arias film titled Bad Behind Bars. Jodi Arias, starring Selena Sinden as Jodi Arias, Trisha Black as Donovan Baring, and Lynn Rafferty as Tracy Brown.